Friday night,
Right.
April the 10th.
Mine's a little
And
slow.
a couple quick things.
All right, it's Court here with Jason.
There
Yankee
he
Team,
is.
Connecticut Common Sense News and Entertainment, and we're doing our usual nightly roundup here. We're going to focus on of course, we'll cover other topics like we usually do, but the two main things are just a quick update on what's happening in Iran, because there are some rather dramatic new developments. Always expect the unexpected in Iran. And then the second thing is Jason and I are going to weigh in on the whole transgender debate. So there are what we'll call common sense things to talk about and dicey things to talk about. All right. So first of all, just to get this whole thing with Iran quote out of the way, like we should.
Let's do it.
So let me paint the picture. As J.D. Vance and others are flying in to Islamabad to meet the guys from Iran. And by the way, there's a backstory to that. While that is happening, news comes out that there's a group called the Homeland Defense Organization, the HDO, which has suddenly shown up and decided that it's time to kill those guys at the checkpoints. Because those guys at the checkpoints are usually either Bashir or IRGC types. And in this particular broadcast, they made it a point that this is out of vengeance for the death of some important friends of theirs. So this may be the start of something wonderful.
Yes.
I find it very interesting that this starts about the same time the so-called peace talks are going to happen. Now, on the Iranian side of these peace talks, this is cute. All right, you got, look, the how should I say this? The cohesion, integrity. Yes, dear, I'm live and recording, dear. Okay. So I'm sure she'll be up here. Not again, please. Hold on.
Is it going to be a take two again?
Hold on, dear. Okay. I'm recording.
Oh, he disappeared. She took. Oh, he's back.
Yes. Okay.
Your wife has hyperspace, transport ability.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
On technology. Okay. All right. They're not on the same page inside the IRGC. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the two guys who were supposed to be the negotiators went, but then another faction of the IRGC decided to send two other people to basically act as babysitters for the ones that are supposed to be the negotiators.
Oh, to make sure they're not don't kick Trump's ass too much.
They don't trust him. Plus, they had a request for the Pakistani Air Force to fly air cover because they believed that Trump was going to try and kill them in Islamabad.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
interesting.
They're not doing well. They're not doing well. And let's see, there's one more tidbit here. Okay,
wasn't there a deadline to open the strait for tonight too?
No, we're not. No, not that I've heard of.
There was a secondary 48 deadline Trump put up.
No, it's when the doors close and they're in a room alone with each other. You know, I'm going to say all bets are off.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Starting tomorrow.
Yeah, whenever it is. And they're going to, as has been said, they can bluster all they want to the press, but they know that they've got themselves a serious problem. Problem number one, if they sign a peace agreement, the IRGC is done.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't sign the peace agreement, the IRGC is done.
It's done.
Okay. What are you going to do, guys? It's like the rock and the hard place thing here, you think, eh? All right. And guess what? The answer is going to be to run out the clock. They're going to delay. They're going to obfuscate. Mm-hmm. They're going to do all kinds of things to
try to make these talks drag on, even probably.
To create chaos and confusion and conflict and all that good stuff in hopes that they can, again, somehow come out on the winning end of this. But no. And by the way, I'll just throw in just my gut. It's just my gut reaction. I don't have anything to go on. But my sense is that as the Iranians have started to get out there and take a tally of the impact of these strikes, they're kind of saying to themselves, holy shit,
Oh,
holy shit, we're screwed.
yeah.
No, there is not that much to recover. There's not that much they could do anything with in the event of a conflict. So
13,000 targets probably helped with that.
it would appear so. That, not to take away from the fact they still have something, and that's the big battle in front of us. Like Trump said, reloading the missile tubes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think that they realize that time is running out for themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, it's
We're not going to take the the pedal off the gas, really.
no, not really. No, it's shifted. So I've been complaining about military solution versus political solution. This could qualify as a political solution, but I'll call it a diplomatic solution.
Mm-hmm.
And so this will, and so there's that. Meantime,
that has to translate into something for the people of Iran as well, not just a return to the.
well,
They say, "Well, we'll leave you alone, but we want to go back and destroy our people." I don't think that's acceptable anyway.
yeah. But in the meantime, in addition, you have, all right, you've got the violence in the streets in Beirut. Okay, Lebanese are now going after the Hezbollah.
Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
They're making it personal. And what was the other thing here? All right, I mentioned, oh yes, so Pahlavi, okay, now we have another announcement coming forth where, to me, the kind of discussions that Pahlavi is having with his people, now it's getting serious. Okay, they're hammering out a government as we speak. All right, so that's going to have to be coupled with shoving out the IRGC, starting at the street level.
Mm-hmm.
There's
some signs that's starting to happen a little bit.
Yeah, I think I see some good things maybe happening here. We'll have to see how this unfolds in days.
Like I said, it's only been 6 weeks. Just be patient. We're up to 7 weeks now. Actually, I've been saying it's 6 weeks for 2 weeks now, so we're up to 7 now.
Annie Kahoozy. So now we get to switch to transgenderism. You suggested we dig into this tonight. Though I did send you that article. It's a critique from the Heritage Foundation. Let me guess, you didn't get a chance to read it.
And I did not get a chance to read it. I've been busy working and doing my thing on the other end and sleeping tonight. I needed 2 hours of sleep tonight to continue to function.
Okay, so this will be.
All right, so let me tell you about my angle on it here and see what you think.
Okay.
Let me start with this. Now, we as Republicans, we as conservatives tend to think of individuals on the basis of their merit, right? Not their gender, not their skin color, not this identity crap. However, I think all of us can acknowledge that as human beings, one of the things that makes us human is our identity as a woman or as a man, our masculinity as a man, or femininity as a human, or so forth, right? Now, if you want to subdue or enslave a population, if you're an evil Marxist bitch and you want to subdue or enslave a population, one of the ways you do it is to take away their identity, their humanity. One of the things that make us more human, again, is our gender or our sex. A man is being a man, going after a woman, trying to get that woman, and then the woman playing her role and being courted or whatever. Marriage, family, whatnot. This all, of course, leads to marriage and family, something we all love. And once again, the battles between the state and the family. So if you're this evil state and you want to destroy the family, how do you do it? Well, one of the things you do is you take away a woman's womanhood or a man's manhood. So what you have now in favor of a blur in between. And what is transgenderism? It's exactly that. It is a blend in between. And in our history, only 1 to 3% of our population identified as gay or transgender. Now that number in America is as high as 7% in some places. That is not a natural progression. Now what they're doing, this is my point, they're attacking it from both ends. Women's femininity is being attacked. Women in women's sports, women's sanctity in their locker rooms, attacked. Men, as men, being masculine, being alpha men, attacked, put down, told they're oppressive, told they're the problem. And transgenderism is the congregation of all that, putting men in women's sports, invading women's femininity in their space, destroying their femininity.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not what my point is. The punchline is, this is not an organic cultural shift. This is not an just a progression in as a lot of people, actually a lot of rank and file Republicans and Democrats who are sympathetic toward this a little bit will say, hey, the blacks we were discriminating against blacks and that's not right. And now we don't want to do the same to transgenders. And that's the kind of crap they're trying to put forth on us. Mm-hmm. Right. And transgenderism is not the same as being born with a different skin color, just so you know, or a different nationality. Okay, this is something completely different. It's not organic. Is it a designed philosophy for a guy like Karl Marx? When you want to enslave people, you take away what makes them human, makes them feel less human. And when you take away their gender identity, you've taken it away. And not only that, you've also attacked the nuclear family on another prong. That is, when you take children and confuse their gender identity to the point of gender mutilation without telling their parents, well, gee, you've created quite a rift there between the child and the parent there, haven't you?
Yes.
Thus, again, ripping apart the nuclear family at its core. So this is my theme of this little editorial here, this little monologue of mine here, is it is not an organic cultural progression or digression. It is a systematic attempt to conquer this country and destroy freedom and the human race and enslave people. And it's being executed quite well. Now, in my own town, a local grocery store, I noticed that there's like 3 or 4 with kids in school now. Being transgender and cross-dressing is actually kind of cool now, or it was at least. This was, I think it's better lately, but
I think it's passing, like in bad.
A little bit, but it's still a problem. In my local grocery store, there are now 3 employees there that look transgender.
Oh yeah,
one store.
I've seen a lot more than that. A lot.
Yeah. So, well, it used to be something in court that you would see once in a while, one person. Now you see it everywhere. So this is a fundamental problem, and I don't know what I think we're trying to do the right things to handle it. But what do you think the answer is? I mean,
well, the part of it is we have to sort out the incredible amount of confusion that has been created around this. And the first principle I want to raise is, does it make sense? Is there a rational justification for taking that which is rare and making it normal?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Take the first and most obvious example, somebody who's born with both types of genitals, hermaphrodites.
Those are extremely rare.
Yes, they are extremely rare. Okay. But what you have is the idea of normalizing this. But where the confusion begins now is when they try to create these 2 categories, I guess, where you talk about either gender or sex, gender or biological sex.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, because that is something Sleeve talks about.
What interesting. That's the core of the argument.
They're not quite the same thing.
This is where the argument is. All right. When you have these activists saying, well, here, let me just start with this. So they've said that the argument is that biologicals, how did they get to this? I don't know. I'm just trying to pull out the right part here. Let me just find the way this, there must be a place here that explains how this gets set up, because it is, let's see here. All right.
I feel like there's a direct invasion and assault into the heart of the nuclear family that's going on.
Yeah, well, okay, you have that, but in the meantime, the psychology of this argument, the logic of this argument over transgenderism has to do, first of all, with whether or not your, quote, biological sex, as in your chromosomes and your hormonal makeup, are the first principle by which you define yourself, all right? Mm-hmm. And to you and me, obviously.
Yeah.
But to gender dysphoria activists, no, it's the other way around. They say it's whatever you think you are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this is how you get these weird acronyms, LGBTQ, LGBTQ plus.
Yeah, the one I heard the other day, they have one now. It's MIII.
Yeah,
something.
it's not.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah. As one person said, it's like a super secure password. So how do I deal with this? You can't. This is where the argument is.
Yeah.
I and others would reject the notion that your gender identity has primacy over your biological sex. Okay.
Right.
And now it seems that the argument turns on whether or not your gender identity is an expression of being healthy or unhealthy.
Okay. It is definitely unhealthy to be confused about or feel like you're a different gender than you really are. I consider that unhealthy. However, having said that, in America, if you're a man and you want to be a woman, and dress like a woman, act like a woman, you go right ahead. You have the freedom to do that. If you think you're a cat, you want to dress up like a cat, you go right ahead. But your rights end where ours begin.
You
can't force me to treat you like a cat. And you can't force me to treat you like a man if you're a woman. And you can't force me to invade my space. But if you want to act like one and walk around and put a couple, I don't know, not watermelons, but grapefruits on your chest and walk around like a woman, you go right ahead. Don't expect me to call you a woman. I might just choose to indulge you, but that's where it ends. That's the difference. That to me, that's where the argument lies.
All right. So let's just deal with the most outrageous part first. And that would be Kristi Noem's
locker rooms changing their clothes.
No, Mr. Kristi Noem's husband.
Oh yeah. God bless him, man. Like, go ahead and do what you want, dude. But if you're demanding to walk into a woman's locker room, then that's where I step in and say, no, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not.
Yeah. Well, we forget that there was about 2 years ago a big dust up because there was a teacher in Canada in a middle school, I believe, who also walked around wearing gigantic prosthetic breasts and a long blonde wig. And
you watch South Park, you all know about Mr. Garrison.
I see. Yeah, Mr. Garrison. Okay.
Okay, that's a good, interesting question.
Back to the core issue here, which is whether or not well, first of all, I think you and I are on the same page in saying that to claim that your gender identity trumps your biological sex is nonsense.
Nonsense.
All right.
Absolute
nonsense. We're in that camp. All right. Meantime,
it's the term that I bring up every now and then sarcastically. Perception is reality.
Right.
That's a term that people are actually taking seriously philosophically. I consider it a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Perception. What that means is what you see is what's real to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine for you, but it's not reality. You can say perception is reality for you. If you want to add in perception is your reality, put the word your in there, then I'm okay with that. It's not the reality.
All right. So
like your truth and the truth.
Biological reality has nothing to do with your point here. Okay. You can see, looking at you, you can touch and realize that you're of a certain type.
I'm a man.
All right. And you don't.
I can go get a wig and I bet you I could fool you. I go get a wig and turn my beard off and.
Okay, so that's a costume.
Woman if I wanted to.
That's a costume, and now the art.
She says.
That's who you think you are somehow. Okay, well, that's like an actor performing, and he's
Patrick Swayze
adapted his character. He is his character. Great. Well, no, sorry. So let's just find. I'm going to read this off here. Many of those who feel distress over their bodily sex know they aren't really the opposite sex and do not wish to transition. Okay. So this gets into the other key point here.
Yeah. Manipulating kids.
Yes, that's right. So you're manipulating them into thinking that that's what they really are and not respecting the fact that this is a developmental stage, that this too shall pass, that this is part of working out who you are. No.
For a lot of teenagers, that is part of their thing. I personally never had that problem, but whatever.
I didn't have it either.
Never
So
noticed, never had it, never thought once
okay,
at
and
any age that, gee, I have to figure out which gender I am. And I actually feel bad for people that have that issue.
okay,
But
but
you're right. A lot of teenagers are able to have that stage as part of their personality. They're able to get through it. And by the time they become adults, they're very healthy men or very healthy women,
right.
not gay,
Yeah.
So
Well, what is a
that's
tomboy? What is a tomboy?
exactly. Actually, I know a girl that I grew up with was very much a tomboy girl, very
Yeah,
much like a boy. Was a
yeah,
girl. Now I heard later she got married. I saw one of her wedding pictures. She looked beautiful. She's all girl. She'd gotten over it. She,
yeah.
she's one of those rough and ready girls, man. Like those are the kind of girls a lot of guys like to marry, man. And they're all girl, man. They're all women. So yeah, getting to people, shame on these liberals getting to teenagers before they're even mentally mature enough to make decisions and
Mhm.
manipulating them into this. This is what I mean. This is a
Okay.
deliberate Marxist pundit. Evil people are fooling dumb liberals into thinking this is somehow a civil rights issue for a kid.
Well, not just a civil rights issue. There's a form of sexual politics that's being talked about here. Okay,
Okay.
in that, um, here, what's the part I want to grab here? Um,
We got a cultural warfare system on our hands, and we better be ready to fight it because woke is dead. Woke is dead. Well, it's not really dead. It's taking different words. They're taking the words out, and reframing it, and keeping it around. And
yeah.
these
So
things are still going on in a lot of states. Kids are still being gender manipulated. These things are still happening.
very well. It's worse than you think because I don't. We wouldn't be able to see this here. If when you get around to printing out what I emailed to you, you'll see it. There are two things. There's the genderbread person. Okay.
Genderbread person. That sounds so sinister. Sounds
Yeah.
like a bad movie.
Right. So I'll just quickly read this here. The
Genderbread person.
genderbread person. Gender is one of those things everyone thinks that they understand, but most people don't. Like conception, gender isn't binary. It's not either or. In many cases, it's both, and a bit of this and a bit of that.
That's an outright lie.
Right. So this
The only
is
time it's both is for the hermaphrodites that you mentioned that are born that way. That's about one out of, I would say, 10,000 people, one out of probably 50,000 people.
yeah. So the problem here is again rare. Right. I talk about rare versus normal, but now the other question here is if something is rare, is it going to stay rare?
Generally, statistics historically would say yes.
Well,
Generally, yes.
well,
Like I said, polls that go back to the very beginning of time.
No, rare is the name I just gave for gender dysphoria. All right.
By 1 to 3% traditionally.
All right. And of those
7% in America.
1 to 3%, 80 to 90% get over it and realize
right.
This is okay. So
we're leaving the real number at way less than 1%.
Okay, so let's look at that 80 to 90% that are in transition, if you will. Okay, those are the ones who, right here, may not feel that gender is binary. They may feel that it's either or. They may feel in many cases that it's both and a little this and a little bit of that. And that's part of their growing up. Now, just to make the point, all right, okay, when the sperm finds the egg and they emerge and they form the zygote.
Ooh, how romantic.
All right, so now life has begun again. Kaboom.
Yay.
All right.
Rah, rah.
There is a period of the original fetus, if you will, is until there's a certain stage, but up until that stage, that fetus is actually female. Okay.
Yeah, every original egg is female, correct? Yep.
No. The zygote.
Yes, it's always female initially.
Combined.
Yeah.
That starts out initially female.
Correct.
Okay, but then the role played by the X chromosome, by the Y chromosome, is to then bathe this fetus in male hormones at some stage, whether it's the first month, second month, I don't know where exactly, but that's the part where then the sexual identity takes place.
Correct.
You can appreciate that at a biological level, in fetal development, there's a transition. Oops, hey, I said something, a transition from male to female. And guess what? Sometimes that transition doesn't quite go right.
Or doesn't go quite all the way.
Right. Okay. It could be an exaggeration of one or the other, a lack of one or the other.
A lot of teenagers that have gender identity.
Biological.
A lot of teachers that have gender identity issues as teenagers grow up to be perfectly normal people, or they may become gay or lesbian, but they know they still have their gender identity. I'm a man, but I prefer women, or I'm a woman, I prefer women. So that's where some of the regular gay community comes from. Yeah. It's still about 1%, though, 2%, 3% people. It's not 7%. Okay.
So the problem here is, and it could be the biologists are still looking in the wrong place, but for the longest time, there has been no proof, no evidence determining, showing how homosexuality is biologically determined. No evidence. Okay? Doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. We just haven't found it. And so until we have found it, our thinking is that homosexual tendencies are culturally determined, not biologically determined.
I don't know if I know there's no proof of anything, but I would think that I'm going to suggest this. Mm-hmm. Men, I think women that become lesbians,
yeah,
just as often as not do so because of cultural reasons. Men, however,
yeah,
certain men, I think that men that become gay, I think generally you see that at a very early age in a boy. So I think boys sometimes, I think it is possible for a man to be born and grow up with a little too much estrogen. Maybe they're hormonally set up so there's a little too much estrogen going on, and they grow up, and you can usually tell from a very early age that they're a little more effeminate and they seem a little more. So I think that even if there's nothing specific to prove it, okay, I think there are some biological tendencies, and I'm not saying they're normal tendencies. It may be because there's a hormonal imbalance. It's a hormonal imbalance that would cause a bipolar person to be bipolar and cause their mood swings to be high and low. There's a hormonal imbalance that could cause a man to prefer other men as he gets older.
Okay, so let me just rattle this off here. It's said as of very recent research, gay men. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Gay men inherently have the assertion that gay men inherently have higher estrogen levels is not supported by scientific evidence.
I don't know if there's nothing chemical to support it scientifically. I think it can't be denied, however, that boys that become gay are often detected that way at a very early age while they're still in their developmental, even as toddlers and as formative children. You can see the way they act and behave. And so there's got to be something happening there. A lot of times it's not called, like there's boys that have been raised in very normal circumstances.
No. I've met quite a few men who act gay, and they're married and they have children.
And I would say that just because a man is married and has children, you would assume that means that they are straight. But I don't think you can totally make that assumption.
All right. Well, then you're left with bi.
Yes. Or a marriage of convenience. Hello, John Travolta.
Children is a marriage of convenience?
Yeah, because gay people want to procreate as well.
No, that would not be a marriage of convenience.
Well, they adopt boys. Well, no, that I'm not approving of this. I'm just saying it exists.
No.
It does. It exists. I know it exists. I've seen it.
All right. That
maybe that be common. None of this is common.
Right. Well, okay. So the curious thing is, just like some people know at the age of 5 they want to grow up and be doctors, they also know they're gay. It's weird. Okay. So that's
another one is boys who, like if they're named Michael, And if you go up to a man, you say, "Hey, Mike, how you doing?" They say, "Oh, I prefer to be called Michael." That means they're gay.
Yeah, maybe. So the other thing is that there are two neural structures. One's controversial. I think the other's a little bit more definitive.
Okay.
If I said hypothalamus, would you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. That's one of your major hormonal distributors.
Uh-huh. But it's very small,
It's
right?
part of your brain,
It's very small.
right? It's located in your brain. Am I correct? Yes, it is.
Yes, but deep in the brain structures.
Yes, very
Okay.
small.
So it turns out that sex drive, there's a region of the hypothalamus associated with sex drive. And the other thing that's curious is, so let's say these are the group of hypothalamic cells associated with sexual drive. Right next to it are cells associated with violence.
That doesn't surprise me. I've been married.
So one
It's
can,
like the Red Hot Chili Peppers now. Search Psycho Sexy, baby.
yes, there. So
You're right. There is a fine. In other words, what you're saying to me scientifically is there's a fine line between love and hate.
All right, or violence, just outright violence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the claim was that there was a form or the way the hypothalamus is structured. They claimed they found some structure in the hypothalamus unique to gay men.
Aha. Now we're talking turkey.
Well, all right, that's a claim. All right. The second claim involves the amygdala, which is associated with emotional states. It's a larger structure.
Okay.
And the claim was that amygdalas in gay men tend to be larger than in normal men. I don't know how common this is, but these were the claims.
Okay, so maybe there is some kind of a
something. But in my mind, if you're going to have neural structures that have these slight variations that reflect sexual preferences, there's got to be a genetic component as well. And I don't know. But that said, by the way, there's a quiet revolution developing around how we understand genes and genetics. It's gonna upend the apple cart when it all comes out. So
as long as what comes out is applied honestly, then yes, things will be straight. I have to say that's something you never hear about in this discussion is the gay community, the established gay community, lesbian and gay community. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of conservatives in that group.
True. Okay, so
they don't appreciate what's going on in terms of twisting what they're doing into this. I would suggest that a lot of LGs would suggest that BTQ can go fry ice. And
okay, all right. So when you bring that up, there are at least two studies I'm aware of that suggest that there would be some genetic distinction between a conservative and a liberal. One of them is called the puff test. So if you were to puff some air into the face of a conservative, they will tend to blink. Mm-hmm. But it turns out that liberals, when the air is puffed at them, they will not blink.
It doesn't surprise me because if you look at liberals, they have these wild staring eyes.
Okay, yeah.
Look at the old woman walking the old marsh. So it makes sense. Whereas we're like, hey, whoa, what are you doing?
Possessed. Then the other thing that's curious is when there are pictures, gory pictures of blood and guts and things, people cut open. Conservatives tend to be repulsed and grossed out. Liberals are unaffected.
Uh-huh.
So
it's starting to describe chaos and evil to me.
Well, I don't. Yeah, there could be a connection there, but I find it very interesting.
Well, as a private detective who has worked on federal death penalty cases before, I've seen some of the worst real life photographs of heinous, horrible crimes.
Yeah,
firsthand in color, directly taken at the scene.
Right.
And I can tell you that fundamentally they bought like when I see them inside here, they repulse me,
Right.
but they don't affect me on the outside. As an investigator, I look at these pictures and I analyze them, and so they don't affect me. Like, they don't keep me up at night, really.
Okay.
But what they do though is
Mhm.
fundamentally inside. Later on, when I go home, I always take a little time to think about, my God, what happened to those people and how horrible that is.
That's right. That's right. No, they did not die well.
No.
Back to transgenderism. The other thing here, which kind of disagrees with your original take, let me back this up a little bit before I get to this next very critical point. To your point, I agree with you, believing that you have a group of people who, for all intents and purposes, are evil. We will call these evil people cultural Marxists. Now,
Bad apples.
bad apples, yes, sir. And they have been operating under this misconception about what would constitute fairness and equality in society. So the notion is that you have um, these rare sexual conditions, and it's unfair in their eyes to decide that a transsexual, somebody who's a hermaphrodite, somebody who identifies with different spirits of society is somehow oppressing that person, and that's not fair. Everybody should have equal regard, and we should let them be whatever they be without anybody judging them. All right.
Except those people at the top that are profounding Marxism and they know that's bullshit, and they're just using that to manipulate sympathetic people into doing what they want. That's what's happening there.
Right. So to me, and I think to you, the sense is that they have over exaggerated the arguments around transgenderism in an effort to destroy the family.
Correct.
All right. Because then I guess if they're being consistent in their Marxism, then getting rid of the family will create a more fair society. And with a more fair society, everybody can have whatever sexual orientation they want.
Except that last part you said, by getting rid of the family, everyone can have what they want. So if I were to go to some of those old women at the No Kings rallies and say, gee, you're right, it's not fair. We want everybody to be gay and have every equality they want. Let's get rid of the family then.
Right, hold on.
Women would say, wait a minute. No, we don't want to get rid of the old family.
You're right. Hold on. I'm getting comments here. It's XM Vibes 1538. Ibit. He goes, that rascal has a grand piano. No, wait, it's just a green screen. You would be correct, sir. Almost fooled me. I thought he was rich. Yes, that's right. Fooled ya.
Okay, no.
Okay, I'm not going to do what that girl did who had the fake face avatar, right? Because if I took this screen behind me away, you go, oh my God, well, he lives in a dump. I'm running away.
You should see his office is a wreck.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
anyway, my point is important here.
Let me try it that way.
My point is important here. They're trying to destroy. If you were to go to some of the old women at the No Kings rally and say, you're right, this is bad, we have to give gender people equal rights, let's destroy the family so we can do that. Those old women would be like, yeah, equal rights for gender. Wait a minute, destroy the family? No, we don't want to do that. Right? None of those old women at the Old Kings rallies that are rallying behind all this crap, they don't want liberal, rank and file liberal people that make the incorrect argument that transgenders should be allowed into women's spaces. And if you say to them, yeah, and we can do that by destroying the family, they'd say, no way.
Further proof that they are just out of it. Their brain is not working.
Right.
Okay.
What's that issue here? If you want to make an argument with me that we should let men who think they're women, be women because it's only fair, that is what I consider to be an argument in good faith, a wrong argument, but an argument in good faith. But if you're doing it when you know it's bullshit, like a guy like Chris Murphy again,
know
it's bullshit, and you're just manipulating sympathetic people's minds.
Mhm.
Those are the ones that I think are committing treason. And I think someday, maybe not tonight, we should talk about treason and what that means.
All right. Well,
What
there are.
what are the elements of the charge of treason, and why
Okay.
doesn't anybody ever get charged with treason anymore? Maybe isn't that the reason why we have a million and a half treasonous people run, or half a million treasonous people run around the country?
All right. You're skittering off the road again. But first of all, treason is a carefully defined legal concept that is grounded in the U.S. Constitution. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Treason requires two witnesses, and it has to be giving aid and comfort to the enemy in a time of war. Okay. That would be hardcore treason.
Okay, so we'd
Now,
be going on television and saying our president is insane and he should be removed,
okay.
and expressing sympathetic toward the enemy during a war when you know now if you know full well the president is not crazy at all, you just don't like what he's doing, you don't like he's getting all the credit, and you're a Marxist and you want to see this country destroyed. So by undermining the president on the air, on television, and saying that he's crazy and he should be removed during a war, that's not treason.
Okay. You're going on a nice little slippery slope there with respect to free speech. And
Right. And so freedom of speech has its limits.
well,
If it's being used to foment a revolution against a duly elected president, or to yell fire in a crowded theater to create panic. So
okay.
when you go on TV and say Trump is Hitler, oh my God, he's going to kill you. People know what Hitler did. I myself would take to the streets if
No.
I thought Trump was Hitler. I myself would take to the streets. That is an exception to the First Amendment, and people you should start looking at that a little more closely.
Everybody has their own exceptions in mind. I mean, you forget the crap we went through during COVID when you had this CISA group, all right, that was
Right.
based in Stanford, and they were trying to come up with rules for speech based upon the idea of misinformation and that only certain people had the authority to speak on subjects. And if you were putting out what they deemed misinformation, you'd be in trouble. Okay? No.
It's not putting out misinformation is one thing. Lying is not illegal. How it's
Lying is
protected.
not illegal.
Lying just in general is protected by the First Amendment. There's no rule that says you have freedom of speech. You can't lie under oath. But other than that, you can lie. The Supreme Court has ruled that policemen can lie.
Okay, well, and if the lie causes harm, and if the lie kills people,
That's my point. So at what point let me ask you this question. Let me give you a basic little question. When was the last time anyone was charged with treason in this country? Anyone, for any reason?
it was for no. There are
In my lifetime, has it even happened?
okay. Let's be clear about what we're calling treason.
Before I get to that, though, let me finish my question for a minute.
Yeah.
How many has any American citizen been charged with treason since 1970?
You're going to have to give me a definition because
Just anyone charged on the federal level with treason at all, for any reason at all?
the spying count.
Yeah. If the charge is level, if there is a charge on the books, legal treason, has anybody been charged with that charge at all in the last 55 years?
We'd have to do research on it, but there have been
I
a
don't
number.
think so. I haven't heard of one.
You have Aldrich Ames. You have that guy who's
76, right?
Israel. Okay. There are others. Okay.
Since 1970, though?
Yeah. What are you talking about? Aldrich Ames is after 1970.
Okay.
As was the guy who spied for Israel.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
So
since the year 2000, anything like that?
I don't know that they were convicted of treason per se, because again, I go back to the point. Pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very specific, narrow definition for treason. Two witnesses.
Yep, aiding and abetting an enemy during time of war.
Okay.
Okay, now that could be interpreted in a lot of different ways, can it?
No.
It's not too narrow in my mind.
In
Aiding and abetting.
of war.
When you go on TV and say your president is crazy and should be being removed in the middle of a war when we're trying to fight somebody, you know when he's not crazy, that's not aiding and abetting an enemy, because we know Iran is trying to do a publicity campaign.
No.
You're aiding them.
No.
Okay.
Right? I don't know why you're having a problem with this.
I'm partially playing devil's advocate here with you, but
okay. There's another concept. It's called sedition.
mm-hmm.
All right. if you want to go back to those 6 folks who are telling the military to not follow orders, and people want to suggest that that was treasonous.
During a time of war?
Sorry, we're not in a time of war.
We are right now in a time of war. We are fighting a war against Iran.
Wow. Well, look.
Oh, does it have to be a declared war in Congress then, or to be?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, right there's the problem.
Because then there's
in this age of modern warfare, modern times, we know darn well that wars are getting fought without Congress declaration. So you're telling me that we are in a real war against Iran right now, whether it's being called in Congress or not. You're telling me that the charge of treason cannot be applied at any point during this time, and therefore, if you're a spy, you want to do anything to destroy the system, go right ahead. You're free. You'll never be charged with treason. It doesn't exist, and therefore,
by the way,
good luck trying to keep this country together.
Don't worry, it gets more complicated.
Okay.
You may have heard of the NDAA. That's the National Defense Authorization Act. It's an annual bill for funding the military. And back in 2014, I think, it was 2014. Language was inserted into this bill that basically said any person who is caught talking with a recognized terrorist shall be imprisoned, and you will have no legal rights.
Well, that's a little rough.
Okay.
How do you know if you're talking to the person that's maybe a terrorist, you don't even know they're a terrorist?
Well, remember, we live in a surveillance society. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
FBI keeps files on every single individual in the country, so we know who's a good guy and who's not so good. How many times have we had the FBI say, "Oh yeah, that guy who shot up the kids? Yeah, we were following him. Sure." Right.
Well, here's what I would submit this, and I think I'm going to find the material and bring it to a show soon. Former governor of Colorado, I forget the guy's name, it escapes me, but he came up with or identified our enemy's 8-point plan to destroy the United States from inside.
Yes.
I'll just give you one of the 8 points. Accuse people who disagree with you of being racist, just no matter what it is.
Okay.
And you know that goes on. So my suggestion is this. If you are, whether you're an American citizen or an illegal immigrant, doesn't matter. If you are knowingly participating, and we can prove that you are knowingly participating in these 8 things, then you should be A, charged with insurrection or treason, B, deported, or whatever it is. If you are knowingly fomenting these things, you are part of what I consider to be an invading force against this country, and maybe not treason, but insurrection, treason, whatever it is, you need to be removed and stopped.
Well, I did start to write an article, which I haven't finished. And that article introduces a new legal concept.
What is that?
Subtreason.
Oh, okay.
All right. So you commit acts that are against the interests of the United States and its citizens.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily meet the test of treason, but it's certainly in the same spirit. So the concept of subtreason would fall between sedition and treason.
Okay.
All right. So it would be more serious than treason, but not as serious. I'm sorry, more serious
than sedition, not as serious as treason. Okay.
Right. So to create a new legal category, complete with penalties. Okay. All right.
That would be for American citizens.
Well,
we also have. Well, yeah, it would be for
anybody in this country who is seen to be speaking out. I mean, the test. All right.
I don't think you can't commit treason against a country that you're not a citizen of, though.
Why not?
Because you haven't declared your allegiance to that country.
All right. So then
you simply deport these people.
All right. Well, this gets into the other deep problem that people don't like to talk about. All right. The Japanese in World War II were automatically considered enemies of the state since we were at war, since they were Japanese citizens or of Japanese origin.
They were interned and imprisoned for no cause, and I don't find that right either.
Okay. So how do we sort this out? All right. So right now we are involved in a conflict with Iran. It hasn't been declared a war, but it's a conflict. So what do you do with the 500,000 Iranians living in Los Angeles?
Okay, this is what you do. If you're a citizen, you simply keep your eyes peeled. That's all. You can't do much. If they're legal immigrants, they need to be fetted out.
Well,
if they're illegal, they need to be rounded up and deported.
what about employment?
Again, same thing. If they're gainfully employed and they're showing signs of assimilation and they're citizen on the path to citizenship, then God bless them. You know, we were a melting pot here still.
Are you going to give top secret clearance to an Iranian?
Hell no.
Okay.
Never.
Well, you got to be clear on that. You got to define where they can and can't go within the government.
Let me ask you this: Are the security clearances that we provide to, say, our security guards and our personnel here to give them clearance, or to top secret clearance in the federal government, would that same vetting process apply to an Iranian American citizen, say?
Mm-hmm.
I would say that if you're an Iranian, you came here a long time ago, you've become a citizen, you've proven your patriotism, just the fact that you happen to come from Iran, that maybe we don't hold that against that person.
Well, XM Vibes is back again here. So now, who the devil said anything about giving clearance? I did. I'm the guilty party right here. I said it. All right.
I think there could be something to said for an Iranian national who comes here and because they love this country and hate Iran, and they ultimately want to be Americans. And why should we take?
For what it's worth, you hear these stories. If you're going to work for, say, the FBI or the CIA, they put you and your background through the mill. Through the mill.
If you make it through that, then you should get in, even if you're Iranian.
Really be trusted, because that's just it.
Yeah.
So let me just a quick story that's totally unrelated. All right. So when I was in the Navy, okay, and we would be told, you know, you don't have secret clearance. You don't have top secret clearance. Oh, wait, there's secret clearance and top secret? Oh, interesting. Okay, true story. So when I was in the reserve 1 year, we went to the Naval War College. And so they gave us a tour through these facilities. And there on a desk was a document labeled Cosmic Top Secret. And I go, whoa, wait a second.
What?
How many more kinds of top secret can there be? This is crazy. Yes, that was pretty wild.
That's amusing. Hey, look, before we wrap up, can we shift gears here, or is there something you want to say? Because I want to talk about the astronauts.
Point, all right, to get back to your opening points that you made about transgenderism.
Yes.
Okay, I need to remind you that it's your viewpoint is, shall we say, muddied a little bit by cultural history. So if you were to do your search on the origins of transgenderism,
they go back to the beginning of time.
Hold on, there's more. They hit you in the face with Mesopotamia and Egypt, where it says Sumerian and Akkadian texts from as early as 10,000 BCE. So that'll be what, 12,000 years ago. Suggests they recognized a third gender with spiritual roles. Ancient Egyptian art and Roman historical accounts, such as Emperor Nero marrying Sporus in the 1st century, also reflect gender nonconformity. Okay, so that's them.
That doesn't make it right.
Okay, no, it's about your whole
the ancient world as an example for the way we conduct our lives today, by any means.
Yeah, well, you know, we have a problem here. If we're going to slide into a discussion about moral relativism, now we're going to have real problems. And we're not going there right now. Maybe some other.
Perhaps it was still the 1% to 3% back then, though, not the 7% we have today. That's the thing.
Who knows? Who knows? So anyway, many North American indigenous communities historically recognize, quote, two-spirit individuals, a term for those who embodied both male and female spirits, serving special social and ceremonial roles. Well, I find it curious. So the key word here is special and ceremonial. So in other words, even in this case, they had their own version of what was normal, okay? And so rather than be judgmental about those things that were abnormal, they treated them as special and attached to them. Okay?
And I am not in any way putting down people who feel special, and if they want to feel like they're both a man and a woman, that is not a problem with me. It never has been. It never will be. I know it's part of our culture. Well, what I object to is Marxists and left-wing communists, enslaver evil people using this cultural anomaly, which is relatively normal, to increase and pump it up and make it more normal than it really is. That's the problem I have, and they're using it for a political aim of evil. They're taking something that exists that is normal, abnormally normal, normally abnormal, and they're turning it into using it as a political pundit.
Right.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with somebody who, listen, there are a lot of people out there that are men that are look, even I myself, I like pretty colors, okay?
Yes.
I like wear different color hats.
So where the pretty
And
colors
most men don't give a shit about color. So what is that?
there.
That's a little bit of my feminine side coming out and saying, hey, I like pink and purple and, you know. So we all have our things, okay? And some more than others.
Yeah.
And those people are beautiful people. I don't have any problem with any of these people. Well, I love people. People are beautiful wherever they are, as long as it's organic. And I don't think Egyptians were taking I know they were in the Rome, they were chopping their dicks off of men and making them into eunuchs. Those are pretty genderly neutral people, weren't they? And I don't think Egyptians were. I doubt that Egyptians were mutilating teenagers.
You know, it's funny. They don't include eunuchs here. That's interesting. But look, this problem. All right, there's another cultural issue here we haven't talked about, and it became something of a discussion, especially when we were in Afghanistan. And that is that there is a culture where men would take on boys as lovers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In Afghanistan?
Yes, in Afghanistan. It's part of the Muslim.
Yeah, in some places, pedophilia is actually culturally normal, believe it or not.
Right. So that's one of them. We don't see it that way,
but real head scratcher, but it's true.
All right. So, and yeah, it gets very strange because
there are movements here in the United States.
Okay, that's okay. But if you're a homosexual, we're throwing you off a building.
Yeah, that's weird.
Okay.
Well, look, the pedophilia. There are actually groups in the United States of pedophilias that actually want political viability. They argue that a boy being loved by a man is better than being abused by his father. That's their argument. I would say that's a disgusting argument. That's like saying if I only hit you in the face with 2 rocks, or that's better than hitting you in the face with 4 of them. You're still so it's a dumb argument, but that's the kind of crap that they argue, and it happens in this country as well.
Right. Well, for me at least, the heart of this is that Christianity still remains the cornerstone of our culture.
Correct.
And those values, those principles are embedded in our law. They're embedded in our social beliefs, okay? And we've seen it attacked and assaulted from every which way. We've seen Christianity become weakened as a result. But now you find that people are beginning to push back against it, and I'm hoping there'll be even more pushback. All right.
USA, baby. That's a big start. That's one of the big things.
Well, oh God. On this point, you hold up Islam, and that has, these attitudes towards pedophilia that are 180 out from ours. And it's just, sorry, we're not going there.
It's evil.
No.
But listen, we're almost out of time. You want to talk about the astronauts for a minute?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so today they splattered just moments ago, I think, or a short time ago.
Recent, yeah.
They made it back to Earth. So this mission lasted about 10 days. A crew of 4 in a very small room, about the size of this little office I have, which is very small. They asked one of the astronauts what was the first thing. He was still in space. They asked him what was the first thing he was going to do when he got back to Earth. You know what he said?
Go to Disneyland.
No, I'm going to take a big dump. The biggest dump ever, he says. Because what happened was they're in a very small area. It's not more than the size of a small, like a walk-in closet, maybe not even that big. And their toilet facility. One of the things that went wrong on this mission was their toilet apparatus. Kind of parts of it broke soon after they left the Earth. So they've been improvising in the toiletry area.
Improvising? They've been going
I
back.
don't want to know the details, but they've been able to get by with it. But
It needs to be done. That's not improvising.
so they asked, I'm going to take a big dump. So I can imagine being in that situation. I'd be pinching like myself, like trying to maybe go to the bathroom as little as possible if I can help it. But I think Americans should be proud of what they've done. They reached an area that is further than any human has ever been. Now, there's an argument that my son and I had earlier today.
Yeah.
I think he says that no man has ever been around or seen the dark side of the moon until this week.
That's not true.
It's not true. The Apollo missions also flew around the moon, did they not?
Apollo.
But the
Apollo.
only reason that we can say that we were further away than ever before is because our trajectory around the moon took us further out from the back of the moon, therefore making us further.
Right.
But the Apollo missions also did fly around the moon.
No, 1.
11,
Apollo
right?
10.
Oh, 10.
Apollo 10.
Okay.
Apollo 11 is the one that landed.
Right. Okay. So, in essence, Artemis 3 will be the one that lands then.
Theoretically, yes. If all goes
Pretty cool. I gotta say, it's pretty cool. So, for those of you people out there that believe that we didn't go on, that the whole business of us going to the moon in 1969 was a hoax or whatever, I say, no, you guys are. We definitely went to the moon in 1969.
Right.
That was not a lie at all.
One of those.
I almost had me believe in it last year. My son almost had me convinced for a little while, but I quickly got back to reality and realized it's just another dumb theory, like the whole Earth is flat one, really.
The one piece of evidence that puts this whole thing to bed is that one of the emissions, I forget which one, left a reflecting pad or square on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And the point was that from Earth, we could shine a laser that would bounce off of that. And the purpose was to determine the exact distance from the Earth to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So if somebody is able to hit that pad and get a return signal with a laser, that kind of tells you that somebody put it there.
Yeah, that's the proof. All we need.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So with that, you ready for tonight?
Yeah, ready to call it a night.
All tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night, Saturday night, 9:30. About is that Saturday 9:30 work for you tomorrow night?
We'll make it crazy. We'll all make it crazy.
We'll all make it crazy. All right. Once again, thanks for watching.